or visit Klarna.com. California resident loans made or arranged pursuant to a California finance law license. NMLS number 1353190. Klarna balance account required. Klarna may get a commission. Limitations, terms, and conditions apply.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Bachelor Happy Hour. I'm Joe.
And I'm Serena.
And we are here today with Allyisha. Allyisha, welcome to Bachelor Happy Hour. It's your first time on the podcast.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. I think we should start all the way back on Grant season because we actually talked about you quite a bit when we recapped Grant season because you were such a big part of episode 1 and then poof, you were gone.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a pretty good recount of how things went. Obviously, you guys know, like I did have a first kiss with him. We did share a really good conversation, and those continued to happen while I was on the show. So I was just as equally shocked the night that he sent me home. The previous conversation we had leading into that rose ceremony, he also kind of gave me reassurance that we had a really good connection and he was excited to see me again. I gave him some photos of my family and he said, I'll give these back to you when I see you again. So in my head, I'm like, okay, that's him kind of giving me a wink, like you're getting through this rose ceremony without actually doing it. So yeah, I was surprised, but I guess
You
that's
went
just how it goes on The
home
Bachelor.
2 or week 3?
Week 2, right?
Week 2.
Yeah.
That's
Crazy.
interesting.
That was so shocking.
Yeah, like it's going like you share a kiss, everything's going well, your conversations are going well, and then he takes photos and
He's like, these are mine now. You're actually not getting these
like,
back.
actually, see you later. Did you ever speak with Grant again? Do you have any idea why he did end up sending you home?
No, I don't know exactly why he sent me home. My guess would be like physically, I'm not his type. Like he probably doesn't like blondes and blue eyes, which is fair enough. We all have a type. I have spoken with him after. I went to celebrate him and Juliana at their engagement party post filming. So I saw him there and his mom and family, and we're all on good pages. It's just very friendly vibes between us two.
Nice.
Got it.
Because you left The Bachelor so early, were you surprised when you got the call about Paradise?
Yeah, I was so surprised. I was surprised because I left early and I had never watched Paradise before, so I really had no idea what to expect. And then, going into summer, I had travel plans, so I got the call. I was actually in India with my little sister, so I kind of scrambled to get things together and get back in time to make it for Paradise. But I was so excited to be thought of because, yeah, I didn't know if I would be getting the nod or the look at, from being on the show for such a short amount of time.
Yeah. You're half Indian, half white. That's
Yeah.
your mix?
Yes.
Okay,
So
that's
is
my
Serena.
mix also.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But
That's so crazy. You don't
I-
meet a lot of like that. That mix is kind of niche.
no, truly so niche. But crazy because you're so white passing. And I
Yeah.
was saying
Yeah.
to Joe, I was like, it's truly, you just never know what you're going to get with mixed kids. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen.
It's so true. And I kind of love it because growing up, people would always assume I just got engaged to an Indian, especially now I'm older, my 30s. They're like, oh, you must have got married to a Mr. Gupta and that you've taken on their last name.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good example why, you just can't judge a book by its cover. People are always surprised to see how the gene pool worked out for me. But then you see me next to my sister. People think we're twins. The only difference is she's got like your color skin and year round, doesn't have to even see the sun. She's just got this perfect glowing like all year round tan. But
Yeah.
she also has like the white genes. So I don't know. I think our mom was just such a badass. She passed along all her genes and we only got a little bit of the Indian.
Mom's dreams are strong. She said, my daughters are going to look like me. I don't care how tan my husband is.
Exactly. And if you knew my mom, that's like the epitome of her personality too. So it actually fits.
That's hilarious.
I've never been to India. You've never been to India, but it is a place I want to go. What part were you where were you?
So we did the Golden Triangle.
Okay.
So we did Jaipur, we did the Taj Mahal and Delhi, and then into the city for a couple days. And that's kind of like what they recommend doing if you're going to be all the way over in India because it is quite far to get.
Yeah.
Um, and then between those three places, it's like a 4 hour car ride, and there's not a lot of like public transportation. So it really is worth seeing all those places when you're already over there. But it was amazing. The food was unbelievable. That's like my favorite part when I travel is trying all and they warned us, they're like, you're going to get deli belly. Like, we booked through a travel agency, that my family in India, they live there and they run a travel agency. So I'm like, okay,
Oh,
perfect.
nice.
They're going to take us to all the great places. And they had all these really gentrified restaurants on the list. And my sister and I are like, no, take us on a tuk-tuk to the middle of the town where everybody's getting like, I want a translator and I want to get some like raw curry puffs or something. And it was incredible. They took us to this market and it was the best food I had, was just at like a random street vendor.
How was it your first time there?
It was since I was a little. My dad, my dad's side of the family is from India, but when
Okay.
he was growing up, he was actually born in Kenya.
Oh,
So even
my
though,
Wow,
my grandparents too.
you guys are legit the
Okay,
same
like-
person.
So my Indian family like is from New Delhi, but then
yes.
my grandparents were born in Kenya.
So did they flee because of the coup?
I
Because
think
that's
potentially, but
that's
I
like the
can't
story that
remember.
I hear is my dad says his parents, there was like an oppressive group that came through India, around our grandparents' time, and it was like kind of unsafe for them, so they went and started a business. I guess it was a really common thing to go to Kenya from India, so
Yeah, there's
that's
like a
so wild.
huge like Sikh
Yes,
population in Kenya,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is so random, but
exactly.
probably because of that.
Exactly. So even though, yeah, I do have Indian ties, a lot of my family did migrate from India. So I didn't really go back as a child to like visit family there per se. But I've been to Africa to visit my Indian side of the family, and that's like my also favorite place on earth.
Yeah, I
Nice.
really want to go there. I've never visited.
Oh, you have to.
My grandparents live there. They have my uncle there, and then they moved to England, which is where a lot of my
Okay.
Indian
And
family
that's
is
where
now.
my dad's living now in England.
God, the Indians are all doing the same
This
thing.
is weird. Yeah, they're talking to the same people. I don't know.
Yeah, it's this tight knit community. All right, we should get back to the
Yeah,
show.
let's go. Let's get to the show. But do you go to London a lot? Have you been to Dishoom? I love that.
I love
love that. Yeah.
Dishoom. Yeah, I've been to London. I went to school in London, for high school. So I
Oh,
spent a lot
wow.
of time over there. I was actually born there originally. So I go back a lot. And this week I actually have three of my friends from England, that are coming to visit me in LA, and they've never been here. So I'm going to do like the grand tour. I'm excited for
Oh,
that.
that's so fun. You could do a little
Yeah.
watch party with them if they're in
Oh
town on
yeah,
Monday night.
exactly. They have no idea what they're in store for. I don't think they get it over there. So there's going to be a lot of catching them up. And
Okay, so you end up going on Paradise. Were you hesitant at all about going? Were you just kind of like all in? Like, yeah, I'll take another shot at this.
yeah, I think I was all in.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are things that the unknown can be scary. And I think for me, the only hesitancy was, are there going to be any genuine quality men there that I could see myself actually finding romance with? And if not, then no, I don't want to go do that. That sounds like my version of hell, to be honest. Like stuck with nothing around you and no way to escape, and all you have to do is talk to guys you're not interested in. No, I'd go to a bar on a Friday night if I wanted to do that. So I wanted to know who was going to be there, but obviously that's like part of the lore and they keep that a surprise. And once I realized, you're going to go in blind and I just have to fully hope. And I think I did. I just went in with really high expectations and I was optimistic that there would be someone for me there. So once I got my head wrapped around that and I was kind of approaching it from that mindset, it was like, what do I have to lose? Like, go have fun on the beach, make some friends, hopefully make out with some guys and find romance. Best case scenario.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't make out with guys, but like I agree with everything else.
With everything else.
Yeah. Um, were there any guys like on your list? Did you have a list of guys that you were potentially interested in?
Yes, I've watched the Bachelor franchise, but not all of it. So I kind of wanted to keep it that way. They had recommended going back and watching things, but as somebody who's been on the show, I know that what you are shown isn't always what the person is like on the inside. And so I didn't want to really go in with preconceived notions and expectations of these men. Dale Moss, and
Dale.
Pilot Pete. Pilot Pete since has a girlfriend. And yeah,
So Dale was on your list.
yeah.
That was a long shot. I mean, I don't think anyone really expected to see him down there, but he is. He's in paradise. You walk in. Does he immediately catch your eye? Does someone else catch your eye? What is your initial reaction?
Yeah, so when I came in, the way they had arranged it was there was this Birds of Paradise challenge where all the guys dressed up in these crazy costumes and feathers and then came out doing like mating calls and dances.
Mm-hmm.
So the women were all sat outside waiting for the men to come out one by one, and I actually entered with just the group of women. So at first, that's all I
Right.
knew who I knew the women who were going to be there, but I didn't know what guys were there. And
So
then
you
we
kind of had like a fashion show of men.
Yes, as they were coming out, like one by one, that was my real time learning who was there for the first time, which was really exciting and a very fun way to like be brought into the whole experience. But yes, so that's when I saw Dale for the first time, and I was surprised. I don't think when he walked out, I like registered, oh, that's Dale. He was on my list of people I'd be interested in. It was just this hot body with like a red feathered dress on, and I was wearing red
Yeah,
feathers.
it's
So
cute.
all the couples seemed to be matching that night. And I was like, oh, okay, is this like a cue that this person's somebody I should be like coupling up with or like looking at? And then we did have a really good conversation like right away. We hit it off immediately and we had really good chemistry. So I I did notice him. He was definitely like one of the first people I would say I was excited to see there.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, it comes across that way as a viewer watching it. It seems like you guys do have really good chemistry. It seems like you're both interested in each other. You seem to like Sean, but it seems like you are definitely more interested in Dal.
Well, and I mean, your first impression of Sean was him making out with April. So maybe you need a little more time to get to know him.
That was like that was the only like redeeming thing of Sean that night. I thought that was hilarious that he did that. But we did have a conversation right after, and everybody was drinking and having fun. And I told Sean this. Our first conversation, he was just kind of like tipsy and being silly, and like I don't think remembers a lot of it. And from that conversation, yeah, I was like a little bit, skeptical of him. So and on top of that, like I would say Dale is just physically my type. Like I've dated tons of different looking people, but if I had to say I have a type, it would be like tall, dark, handsome. So he fits that bill. Sean is definitely a complete replica of my ex-boyfriend, which also scared me, and that's something I conveyed to Sean early on, and like I was pretty open about that. So that was also why I think I was a little bit like trepidatious with the Sean encounter at first.
So
Okay.
why choose Sean on a date over Dale?
So that morning, I woke up and I was really torn. I had no idea who I was going to choose because there was a rose ceremony that evening. So it wasn't just take somebody on a first date, it was also now there's a rose ceremony.
This episode of Bachelor Happy Hour is brought to you by Malibu. When the clock hits 5:01, it's not just the end of your great way to do that because it's complete.
Inside and Out, where designer qualified by a 30-day.
Actors we can't stop watching, X views and articles.
Honestly, adults don't care to make sense of it.
Like lockdown before that in a thunderstorm. So we were drinking.
Let me just break this down real quick. So you
Brain. Listen to Now You Know with Noah De Barasta on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, yeah. Let me just break this down real quick. So you get in at night during a challenge where everyone's dressed like a bird,
Mhm.
and then
And being silly and goofy and like we're all lighthearted. The guys and the girls were both like locked down before that in a thunderstorm. So we were drinking in the hotel rooms. It was just like a very lighthearted night, and everybody was kind of like their alter ego. So I almost came in and met everybody's crazy night out alter ego, woke up the next morning, and then had to decide who I was going on a date with.
and then that night is a rose ceremony.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. And
Okay,
when you're
you
on a
had
date, you're gone all day. So it's like I would literally be going into a rose ceremony hoping that whoever I took on the date is going to give me a rose.
Yeah.
And in my head, Sean was way more open and had a rose to give. And the way I viewed it was Dale was much less likely to give me a rose, saying that he's been with Kat for like 10 days at this point. And in my head, like, I don't think anybody who's a good person would ditch somebody for 10 days over somebody who walked in for 1 day. So that is kind of like the right thing for him to do. So that was the first thing that kind of made my decision to take Sean on a date. And then the second one was the two conversations I had that morning. I pulled Dale and Sean separately and talked to them for a little bit before giving out that date card. And both conversations were great. In Dale's conversation, something that stood out to me was he had expressed his interest in going on the date, pulled Dale and Sean separately, somebody for 10 days over somebody who walked in for 1 day. So that is kind of like the right thing. Less likely be going into a rose ceremony, night out, alter ego, like locked down before that in a thunderstorm.
Okay, yeah. Let me just break this down real quick. So you get in.
To Now You Know with Noah De Barasta on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, yeah. Let me just break this down real quick. So you get in at night during a challenge where everyone's dressed like a bird, and then
And being silly and goofy and like we're all lighthearted. The guys and the girls were both like locked down before that in a thunderstorm. So we were drinking in the hotel rooms. It was just like a very lighthearted night, and everybody was kind of like their alter ego. So I almost came in and met everybody's crazy night out alter ego, woke up the next morning, and then had to decide who I was going on a date with.
and then that night is a rose ceremony.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And
Okay,
when you're
you
on a
had
date, you're gone all day. So it's like I would literally be going into a rose ceremony hoping that whoever I took on the date is going to give me a rose.
Yeah.
And in my head, Sean was way more open and had a rose to give. And the way I viewed it was Dale was much less likely to give me a rose, saying that he's been with Kat for like 10 days at this point. And in my head, like, I don't think anybody who's a good person would ditch somebody for 10 days over somebody who walked in for 1 day. So that is kind of like the right thing for him to do. So that was the first thing that kind of made my decision to take Sean on a date. And then the second one was the two conversations I had that morning. I pulled Dale and Sean separately and talked to them for a little bit before giving out that date card. And both conversations were great. In Dale's conversation, something that stood out to me was he had expressed his interest in going on the date with me, but encouraged me that if I don't pick him, it's not going to change us getting to know each other. It's not going to stop him from wanting to get to know me and continue like building something. So it kind of seemed like a no-brainer decision. I can keep getting to know someone who I'm physically attracted to, but don't know enough about his personality and stick around to guarantee that I can get to know everybody a lot more.
I mean, yeah, no brainer. Like yeah.
And the reality is, like, the show is about finding love, but there is a little strategy involved to get to the point of
To
being
have the
able to fall in
opportunity.
love.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And just to
because-
be able to have that time and being the last one out. So I could lie and be like, I wanted to get to know Sean more. That was part of it, 100%. I wanted to get to know either of those guys that I took on the date. I was interested in getting to know more at that point, but why wouldn't I pick the person who's going to give me a good shot at sticking around that night?
Do
Yeah,
you
the
think-
last thing you want to do is go on the date with Dale. Maybe the connection's not really there. He ends up giving his rose to Kat, as you probably
Yeah.
expected he would, even if the date went great.
Exactly.
And then you're out of there 24 hours in without getting to now explore Sean.
Right.
Explore Sean. Do you think if you had zero interest in Sean, you would have still made that decision?
No.
Okay.
No, because it was like I was very split that morning waking up, and
Okay.
I really did consider giving it to Dale because of, what I said. Like, there's also no point in being there if you don't think that you have a connection with someone. So if I didn't see anything coming out of a relationship with Sean and that leading somewhere, then no, I definitely would have just picked Dale and been like, Shh, who cares? I don't care if I go home and don't get the rose because I don't want to be here interested in any of the other guys.
Got it.
How did the date go with Sean?
It was good. It was really intense, which is another reason I'm glad I picked him in retrospect. They had us explore the five senses through like taste, touch, sound, and we had these little cards that prompted each station, and they were very intimate. Just all of them were like, rub this honey here and get the ice cube in a place that you're going to get goosebumps. So I couldn't imagine that's not what like I imagined for any first date, but for it to be with Sean, who I did feel really comfortable with, and we did have like the friend foundation there, I was much more comfortable in that situation than had I picked Dale or anybody else for that matter. Just basically sitting down and then just like making out and rubbing honey and licking chocolate off each other's body parts.
So after your date with Sean, is the romantic connection growing, or are you still like, I like this guy, more of a friend, want to see what happens with Dale?
After the date, I was definitely felt more interested in Sean than I was at first because it was so easy and natural. And I just felt very comfortable being around him. We had so much in common. We really connected on like a deep family level, and we opened up about our past and our upbringings and things we're looking for in our future and our future partners. And a lot of those things aligned. So that made me feel like I made the right decision because I picked somebody who at the core is looking for the same things that I essentially am over just looks, which in the past I have gone from, just the good looking guy and it lets you down because that's not what I'm looking for at the end of the day. I need like so much more than just that.
Yeah.
As a viewer, it seems like there is this spark and this mutual interest between you and Dale, but then moving into this latest episode, we don't really see it go any further. What happened there?
So it was really, I feel like that it was just kind of, it was always going to be that way just because the timing of when I came in, that after that rose ceremony, that was when it was announced, Jesse announced that it's no longer a dating show, it's now going to be a competition show. And the couple that wins is going to be the couple that um, gets through these tests and relationship challenges and basically like the best couple together at this point. So in my head, I'm like, one, that completely gets rid of the whole like dating around part of the show, which I was deprived of because of the time I came in. Like I
Yeah.
didn't get that opportunity to do that.
So
Um,
you're basically you just walked onto a challenge show. Like,
Basically, and I
yeah.
picked my partner. And at this point, like it's lucrative for all of us in couples to spend our time and focus on getting to know the person we're with, especially me, because I just got there and everybody else is 10 days advantage knowing these people. And like I come in, none of the guys, like at first, hardly any of the guys even came up and like introduced themselves to me, which I thought was like, even that was strange. And I get it. It's just like a bizarre situation because people are in couples and whatnot, and they don't want to give anybody like nerves or fear that they're interested in another person who walks in. But at the same time, it was, yeah, very like intimidating to me going into now a competition. And I feel like I don't hardly know any of these people. They're not really trying to talk to me or make a connection because they have their established connections. And yeah,
Yeah,
now I've
you
also
got
been told like it's going to be kind of taboo to I would have continued to pursue Dale and like get to know him more. And I think to answer your question in short, because of the way the show turned into a competition at that point, I don't think it was ever going to progress because both Dale and I at that were kind of everybody was
yeah.
on to their partners.
Yeah.
You're on a unfortunately a different show, because I would say like majority of past seasons, like even at this point in the show, no one's really locked down. Like, and
Exactly.
Yeah.
there was more, and even being just like the location of Mexico and on the beach, it just had more of like an openness to mingle and just like hang out as a group. Don't you think?
That's exactly how I felt. And I was really, going back to, I was kind of all in when I got the call to come to Paradise. I was really excited at that and to get to know everyone. Some of the best thing that came from my season on Grants was all the women and like those relationships that I made. And that's just meant so much to me and like will be friends forever. So in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna meet some really incredible people that I share this cool experience with. And I did, and I don't take that back, but it was a very different experience than I thought it would be, like going on a game
Definitely.
show versus a dating show. And I do think that had I come in day one, or day two, like earlier days, I do think that I like Dale and I probably would have ended up be coupled up. I think we did have a lot more in common than him and Kat did in some way.
Interesting. Interesting. Do you so when Jesse comes down and essentially switches the structure of the show, are you and Sean now more focused on like, all right, let's try to win, opposed to like, let's get to know each other and see if we want to date in the real world?
I think Sean and I were in a really good position because we were getting to know each other, and this was just like a way to expedite that, right? Because it was like we had to get to know each other even quicker now, and we had to do like play catch up on the time that we didn't have together that other people did. Um, and there also was kind of like a lightness to it. Like we didn't feel pressure at all because everybody else had 10 days to like know their couple. We just met each other. So we're not really expected to know each other to the same degree and level as everybody else. But because we had so much in common and like our core values were like very similar, I think we both felt pretty good that we knew enough about each other to be able to like, make educated guesses on certain things, leading into some of the challenges where, you had to know your partner. I think if you know enough about someone, you can kind of infer or like guess what their answer would be to some things. So I think we felt pretty strong to say we had really short amount of time together. And I don't think we were thinking of the money because truly neither of us thought that we were going to be the strongest couple at the end. Like that was such a, one in a million kind of thing for it to be us. So we weren't expecting that. Um, we just, it was fun. It made getting to know each other even more fun because it had kind of like a reason to have those conversations. And it was a super organic way of, asking how many kids do you want? That's just not something you would bring up out of the blue randomly. But when you're playing these games and you need to know certain things about someone, yeah, it just really expedited that whole honeymoon, getting to know each other phase.
Was as a group, was there like a majority of people like, oh, I think Andrew and Alex are the strongest couple right now? Like, was there any couple that was kind of like favored amongst the others for the competition?
Yes, Jess and Spencer were
That makes
always the
sense.
strongest couple, I think, for everyone, just because they coupled up so early. They were always connected by the hip, and so I would say those two were the strongest couple.
Got
That
it.
makes sense.
Yeah.
We see that Jeremy and Bailey win the challenge, and the advantage is that they get to send a couple home at the rose ceremony. Were you surprised that they chose Gary and Leslie, and why do you think they made that choice?
No, I wasn't surprised. So that was such a tough rose ceremony because we knew it was going to be a golden going home, or at least I think we all assumed it was. At that point, a lot of the Goldens who were there and who had been coupled up had been very vocal about the fact that it's platonic relationships. They've had their great love, or they like this guy as a friend, but now they're just kind of there for the experience. And they're really open about that. So I think all of the younger generation couples were thinking, based on this being paradise and looking for a connection and love, I would assume we're going to prioritize like the real couples that are trying for that and send the Goldens home. And also, all of the Goldens were so, they kind of knew that they should be going home. Like, they're saying like, oh yeah, like we aren't romantic, or you guys are going to have a great time, but like we're really enjoying our time just while we're here. So, I expected a to go home. I didn't know it was going to be Gary and Leslie, but after Gary's crazy bet
Crazy,
move
yeah.
that he did,
Why do you think he did that?
I think Gary gets caught up in like the performance and some of the showmanship, and I think he was having fun and he was, doing a little bit of like a bit, and it probably wasn't even, I don't even know if it registered through his head the consequences of making that bet. And I don't know if he did the math in his head of you could literally just throw away a chip. You could just guess the wrong answer and still be safe.
Hmm.
So I don't know why he did it, but if you're going to be irresponsible, you're making that decision not just for you, but for your couple now, because that's how we're playing this game. And unfortunately, you made like a really risky move and it didn't pay off. And I think that's ultimately why it was Gary who got sent home that week.
Yeah.
Literally exactly what I
That's
said.
exactly what you said. I think that it
Genius.
seems like
We're
Sue me.
geniuses.
I think that it seems like Gary and Leslie, as much as they were exploring a romantic connection, I think, Gary's mistake definitely put them in jeopardy. And then on top of that, it did seem like Faith and Kim had a stronger romantic connection. So if you guys are kind of making these decisions based off that, it would make sense that they would go with Leslie and Gary.
Exactly. And I mean, that was Bailey's ultimately decision to make. So I know that was probably really hard for her. And I don't think it was an easy decision. I'm not sure if Jeremy had anything to say about it or if he encouraged her one way or the other. Um, but that was not easy to send any of the Goldens home. I can't imagine, especially for somebody who's such a sweetheart. Like Bailey has such a sweet innocence to her, and she really does care about people. So that was really hard. That was a really hard rose ceremony.
Yeah.
With what has been aired of the show thus far, is there anything that has shocked you from what you're seeing within like the couples?
Yeah, a lot.
Anything stand out?
Within the couple,
Mainly like the Jeremy and Bailey
I
stuff.
was going to say, do you want to just say it? Because we're talking about Bailey.
Yeah.
So that surprised me. So here's what happened. The boys had a really good, strong group and camaraderie, and they were going back to their rooms and like before rose ceremonies and cocktail parties and talking. And so, the Jeremy thing, I'm sure he brought up to the guys and they were all aware of it. So when I did hear about the Susie thing through the telephone, I couldn't believe that it had gone 10 days without anybody bringing it up. I think that you are just as guilty if you know something and you stay quiet and you choose to stay quiet. Um, I think you're just as complicit in like the guilty. I think what's hard is I was surprised. I didn't realize how many times Jeremy like doubled down and said that. Like, I don't want to win with Bailey. I want to call Susie back. Where's Susie? Like, he was a broken record and he said it so many times now. I thought when I heard it, I thought it was just one passing phone call to call her to come back, which was like not a big deal at all. Like, I didn't think Bailey would even care to hear that. But now knowing how involved it is and how much he said it, I think that's probably what pushed Brian because he's hearing it in the guy's room like every night. And I'm sure Jeremy brought it up more than once, which is probably why he felt like so compelled to say something. Like, what else have you been hiding and lying to me? Like, I felt really bad for her. And I felt bad that I wasn't there because had I been there, like there was no way that would have got to day 10 without her knowing that as my girlfriend.
Playing devil's advocate here a little bit just for
Yeah,
fun.
do it.
Is there any bit of grace for Jeremy talking about this amongst the guys in his room where it's more like he's venting and not really 100% meaning it? Him calling Susie, that's like, that's just like, well,
You did that.
yeah, that you
Yeah,
did.
it happened.
But is there any bit of that, or is it just kind of like?
I think as a girl, it gets complicated when everyone else knows.
Yeah.
It's not like he was in a private setting venting to a friend and
Exactly.
like it got out and he was like, look, I was truly just burning off some steam. Like, I think it's like you're mic'd up, you're on camera, it's getting around the beach, and for
Yeah.
Bailey to be the last to know, like the impact is just going to be so much more of a gut punch.
I don't think that's a good excuse, because at that point, as a friend, you could just be like, hey, you're my friend, but I'm gonna do the right thing, and this is the right thing, and you know that. I'll help you out with it. We can both do like whatever. But staying quiet, I just don't think's fair. And I think the other part that's hard, yeah, everybody knowing, but now he's saying this, and it's like 10, 12 days late, like however many days into it. I think as a woman, I would be feeling to have uncertainties, I think are it's normal, but then after a certain amount of days in, when you're being told something else and then behind your back you're being questioned, like if you're compatible or if he likes you or if he wants whatever, I think that part would be hard for me.
Yeah. You know who I would have loved to see
It's a rough
involved in
situation.
this?
Who?
Zoe. Throw her back in there.
Oh,
I
yeah,
feel like
Zoe.
Zoe would not have let this get so far. Zoe
No.
would have been all over it.
Zoe would have been all over it, but that's what I respect about her. And like, also, we're all adults. Like, we're all adults. It's just not that deep. I also don't understand when we're on a show with cameras and mics, this is all gonna come out. You guys know, like, it's all gonna come out. So why wouldn't you just be honest about the things you're saying and doing and get ahead of it and own it? Like, that's to me, a no-brainer, a win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah. Anything else that surprised you before we wrap up?
I was surprised. I had no idea about Jill like being upset the night that she left, the night I came in. Like I had no idea until she came up and gave me a hug goodbye, saying she was like leaving, that she was even thinking about going. So that was a surprise. I didn't know Kat was mad at Dale the night that we started talking. I had no idea there was that drama going on. I had no idea Jonathan was pursuing Kat so much behind closed doors. That was like so sneaky, and did not know that was happening between any of them. And what else did I know?
Did any of the Parisa and Brian stuff surprise you?
No.
Well, yeah, and you're roommates with Parisa, so it would make sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, Brian and Parisa are both such strong, like unique personalities. And, sometimes they say opposites attract. And I think they were kind of polarizing forces, but it worked for them. And because of that, there was just a lot of theatrics that came with the territory. And I love being around them and watching them. Like, I think they're hilarious.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and taking the time. I'm sure this is might be the last time you're on this podcast, but we're going to see more of you the rest of the season. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun. And I can't believe how much of a weird, insanely similar background we have.
Yeah.
I know. That was actually the coolest part of this podcast for me.
Yeah,
because
same.
I
That's
can't
why,
say I've
like, I'm-
ever met someone with the same ethnic background as me.
Me too.
Neither.
Me too.
And you
Me
get
too.
it now. Like, I feel like I'm with a kindred spirit who, like, I don't even have to speak. You just understand. You understand.
I get it, girl.
You guys are best friends. Okay, and to all our listeners, especially the ones that are half Indian, half white, thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in to Bachelor Happy Hour. Make sure you download and subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah, keep tuning in to Bachelor in Paradise every single week, and we will have new and exclusive interviews for you as well. Thanks for listening. Bye.